and welcome back. We'll continue looking at dividing polynomials in section 3.3, and what we saw last time is essentially summarized in what's called the division algorithm. So here we're going to take some polynomial, which we'll just call f, and we'll divide it by some polynomial, which we call d. What the division algorithm says is that then we can find q, the quotient, q of x, and another function, r of x, which is going to be the remainder. And if we divide f by d, then f is going to be equal to d times the quotient plus the remainder. There's a little bit more in here. These polynomials, the quotient and the remainder, are in fact unique, meaning that there's only one quotient and there's only one remainder. This is quite nice. It means that there's only one answer to the question. Furthermore, the remainder essentially has to be smaller than the divisor. So, for instance, if we took our first thing in this chapter, which was we divided 3,983 by 26, the remainder that we got was 5, and 5 is smaller than 26. And it turns out that this is always true. The remainder has to be smaller than the degree, and in this instance, when we're talking about polynomials, the degree of the remainder has to be less than or equal to the degree of the polynomial. Again, the degree is just the highest power of x that we see. And then finally, if the remainder is 0, that means that our divisor divided the dividend evenly. So if there's no remainder, we just say that that it was divided evenly. So that's quite nice when this happens. If a power of x is missing, we need to fill it in with a coefficient, and this is very, very important. So I just want to go through an example to sort of demonstrate exactly what's going on here. So I want to divide this polynomial, 2x to the fourth plus 3x cubed minus 7x minus 10. So we'll start writing down all of the powers of x in here. So we have an x to the fourth, we have an x to the third, and then there's no x squared here. The x squared term is missing. So I need to fill it in. So if there's no x squared term, that's the same thing as just having 0x squared. Anything that has 0 is 0. So I just need to write this in for now. And then when I'm actually dividing it should turn up. So again, so that's x squared. I do have my x to the first power, which is just x, and x to the 0 power, which is just going to be this constant term here. So now we get to divide this big one by our divisor, which is x squared minus 2x. So again, we look at the first term here and the first term here, and if I take 2x to the fourth and divide it by x squared, I'm left with 2x squared, and since there's two terms here, this will go over this term. So 2x squared, so I've divided, now I multiply, so 2x, sorry, I keep saying that, x squared times 2x squared is 2x to the fourth, and negative 2x times 2x squared is going to be negative 4x to the third power. Now I subtract these, 2x to the fourth minus 2x to the fourth, 0. 3x to the third power minus a negative 4x to the third power. Again, to write this down, this is 3x to the third power minus a negative 4x to the third power. Those are going to cancel, and we're going to get 7x to the third power. So I'll bring down this term. So x squared will go into 7x cubed 7x times. If I divide 7x cubed by x squared, I'll be left with 7x. I multiply, so 7x times x squared is going to be 7x cubed. 7x times negative 2x is going to be negative 14x squared. I subtract, so 7x cubed minus 7x cubed is 0. 0x squared minus negative 14x squared is going to come out to be positive 14x squared. So again, this is positive after I subtract a negative. So now I'll subtract 7x. So x squared goes into 14x squared 14 times, as in 14x squared divided by x squared is 14. So I'll take 14 times x squared, and 14 times minus 2, so this is going to be 28 squared. And when I take a negative 7x, so let me write this down, negative 7x minus a negative 28x, so minus a negative is going to be plus, so this is going to be 21x and minus 10. And what you see is that I can't divide 21x by x squared anymore. So this will be my remainder. So let me highlight this in red. Because 21x is not divisible by x squared, not evenly, this is going to be my remainder, and up here this is my quotient. So if I were to write this down, my answer to this question, what is this polynomial divided by this polynomial? It will be my quotient, which is 2x squared plus 7x plus 14, plus the remainder, which is 21x minus 10, divided by my divisor. So this is the answer. Again, the quotient plus the remainder over the divisor. Let's just keep doing more and more examples. I think that examples and practice is essentially the only way to learn long division like this. So again, we'll write our polynomial down in order without skipping any. So you'll see that we don't have an x squared term here, so I'll have to add 0x squared. But I do have an x term, and I do have a term without an x. And then I'll divide all this by x plus 2. So again, x goes into x cubed, x squared times. So if I take x cubed divided by x, I get x squared. So x cubed times x is x cubed. X squared times x is x cubed. X squared times 2 is 2x squared. If I take x cubed minus x cubed, I get 0. If I take 0x squared and I subtract 2x, I'm going to get minus 2x squared. So again, we're subtracting this. I bring this down to get negative 7x. X goes into negative 2x squared, negative 2x times. Again, negative 2x squared divided by x is negative 2x. I multiply the first term, I get exactly what I want. That's why I wrote that. But negative 2x times 2, well, that's going to be negative 4x. So negative 7x minus negative 4x, negative signs cancel, it's like we're adding. We're going to get 3x, as in negative 3x. Bring this down. X plus 2 times negative 3 is going to give me this. So negative 3x divided by x is negative 3. Negative 3 times x, and negative 3 times 2. And we get a remainder of 0. So this is quite nice. Again, our answer to this question, as in what do you get if you divide this polynomial by this one, is going to be x squared minus 2x minus 3. One thing to notice here is that if we write this down, we can write this down in a couple of different ways. So this says that if I take x squared minus, so this was our answer, let me box that. If I take x squared minus 2x minus 3, and I divide it by x plus 2, I get, I didn't write that correctly. If I take x cubed minus 7x minus 6, and I divide it by x plus 2, I get x squared minus 2x minus 3. Again, another way to write down a fraction like this is to say that x cubed minus 7x minus 6 is equal to x plus 2 times x squared minus 2x minus 3. So one polynomial is equal to two other polynomials. This lets us factor these polynomials quite easily. As long as we're told what one of the factor is, we can find the other one. This is sort of a neat result. If we divide f of x by a very particular polynomial, if we divide f of x by x minus c, we get something nice. So first of all, when we divide f of x by anything, we get something that looks like this equation here. F of x is going to be equal to the divisor times the quotient plus a remainder. Okay, so there's nothing funky going on here yet. But what happens if I plug in c into this equation? Well, f of c is going to be, if I replace all my x's with c's, I'm going to have c minus c times q of c plus r. Well, c minus c, that's just 0. And 0 times anything is just 0. So that whole thing simplifies. So what we see is that f of c is in fact equal to the remainder. And this is what we get here. If you divide a polynomial by x minus c, the remainder is what you would get if you plugged c into the original function. Let's use this. Let's let f of x be equal to this polynomial, and I want to find f of negative 4. So the trick that they want us to use the remainder theorem, I want to divide 3x cubed plus 4x squared minus 5x plus 3 by x minus negative 4. So again, if you divide by x minus c, it's the same thing as plugging this into the function. I want to divide by x minus c. C in this case is going to be negative 4. And we will find f of negative 4. So let's do this. If I take 3x to the third plus 4x squared minus 5x plus 3, I divide by x minus negative 4. Well, that's the same thing as x plus 4. Let's see what we get. 3x to the third divided by x is going to be 3x squared. 3x squared times x will be 3x to the third. 3x squared times 4 plus 12x squared. We subtract the bottom line from the top, so we'll just get 0 there. 4x squared minus 12x squared is going to be negative 8x squared. X will go into negative 8x squared negative 8x times. Negative 8x times x is going to be negative 8x squared. And negative 8x times 4 is going to be minus 32x. Again, we subtract, those cancel. 5x minus a negative 32. So again, we're subtracting a negative, so it's the same thing as adding. So we will get 27x plus 3. So x plus 4, if we're dividing that into here, we'll get 27. 27x. And then 27 times 4. 27 times 2 is 52, so this will be 104. I'm sorry, 108. And 3 minus 108 will be negative 105. So 105 is equal to f of negative 4.